there on my Mega Mans. Yeah. This video is gonna be personal. So I started writing this script months ago, but I haven't had time to film it until now, and now's a bit late. I've talked before about how I think the Hakata Pokémon Center is the worst one. In this video, I'm going to show you why I think that's the case. But it doesn't even matter if it's the worst Pokémon Center, because as of May 12th, it will be closing down, remodeled, and moved to a new location. They've been doing that a lot recently. So I'm going to visit the Hakata Pokémon Center one more time, pick up one or two things, and say goodbye to an old friend. I put on my one good pair of pants, fastened my fanny pack, and it was time to go. This journey was going to be done alone. Since I was going by train, I couldn't bring along Dave the Bulbasaur, and I wasn't hunting down Pokemon manholes, so there was no reason to bring Wooper. I decided to do this on a public holiday, which meant it was gonna be busy, and I could save a lot of time by just going by public transport. I'm unsure of how to approach this video, as when I was originally scripting it, I was just making a bunch of jokes at the expense of the Pokemon Center. But when I actually went to get footage, I got oddly emotional and nostalgic. So the tone of this video might be all over the place. I arrived in Fukuoka City, and this is where the waves of nostalgia began. For this video, I want to briefly talk about the underground shopping center in Tenjin. It's basically a strip that's under the main road. It offers dozens of boutiques, bookstores, and small restaurants. When I lived in the city, I came here all the time. I was obsessed with this place, and I really haven't found anything else like it in any other area of Japan. It serves as an underground path to go from one subway line to another, which brought me to my next wave of nostalgia: the Fukuoka Airport subway line. The busy part of Fukuoka City is essentially made up of 2 or 3 large areas, and I'd have to use the subway to get to Hakata. It's only 3 stops away from Tenjin, so it's not too far, but riding the subway again after a couple of years was incredibly relaxing. When I got off of the subway, I found a large crowd of people lining up for the escalator. But because I'm smarter than them, I was gonna go around and take the stairs on the far end. That's right, I know Hakata Station's speedrun strats. I find that doing this saves me so much time, and I enjoy the exercise. You might be wondering why I'm taking you through all of these seemingly unnecessary details. Like I said, this video is gonna be extra personal. The pattern of walking through the underground, taking the subway, and walking around the crowd and up a couple flights of stairs is what I did every Friday without fail when I was studying in Japan. I walked so much that I went from looking like this to this in a matter of months. I don't think I look healthy in either picture, but hey, walking works. When I first moved to Fukuoka almost 8 years ago, one of the first things I did was look up nearby movie theaters and the Pokémon Center. Luckily for me, I found a movie theater that's essentially right above the Pokémon Center. Every Friday, after I arrived in Hakata Station, I would take 8 escalator rides to the 9th floor, look at what movies were playing, and buy the ticket for the next show. Any movie was okay, and it really helped me to study Japanese. I also ended up watching some weird Japanese movies. If the next movie had a long wait time, I still bought my ticket, but then I'd go down one escalator ride to what I once considered heaven on earth. I never really bought anything, except for a few of the original Pokemon fits/sitting cuties, and random souvenirs for my family. But I just loved being here. It was my comfort zone, my safe place, my inner child's sanctuary. Now, let's talk about why this Pokemon Center is the absolute worst. I should preface that the word worst is maybe harsh, but everything has its worst. The worst beetle, the worst flavor of ice cream, the worst day in the second week of September. By Pokemon experience standards, the Hakata Pokemon Center is pretty cool. By Pokemon Center standards, it sucks booty. First things first, it's pretty small, and a consequence of that is having to line up and wait outside of the center. My first year of living here, I never had to line up, but in recent years, I have to line up or get a ticket that gives me a set time I can shop every time. This time was no different, so I lined up, and I was in the center after a 5-minute wait. Honestly, not bad for a public holiday. I've had to wait for hours in the past. Like I mentioned, it's small. It's bigger than the Pokemon store in Ehime, but I think it's only slightly bigger. And Hakata Center uses a lot of that extra space for its long, winding line for the cashiers. Other than that, the size is negligible. Another reason this might be the worst center, its statues. The current iteration of this center has Torchic, Quaxly, and Pikachu as its mascots, and when you compare this to almost any other center, it's embarrassing. It ain't Kyogre, it ain't the red-ish Gyarados, it ain't even the Nagasaki Ampharos statue. They're just chickens and ducks. But as I stood here looking at the 3 statues, I couldn't help but appreciate how simple it is. I realized I'm gonna miss Torchic and Quaxly when they're gone. Pikachu ain't going anywhere. The center will be remodeled with Latios and Latias as the new mascots. I feel like Swalot got snubbed. I know I'm mixing up legendary with total legend, but still. I'm gonna stop talking about why I think this place is the worst and talk about the products I got a good look at this time. I actually stopped to look at the Team Star goods, and I think they're nice. I know this group is pretty diverse, but I think seeing them in plush form really made that obvious. I also realized that these were the kids I hung out with in high school. To coincide with the new Team Rocket TCG set, there's a selection of Team Rocket related goods. If this t-shirt was just a straight up red R, I'd buy it instantly. I've been wanting to do Team Rocket for Halloween for half of my life, but I'm too lazy to buy a costume online. That said, this shirt was still pretty cool. I also liked the hand towels, but I wouldn't use them even if I bought them. From a distance, this Lugia looked exactly like something I'd buy, but up close, it looked a bit special. I checked the Pokemon Fits to see if there was a Magikarp, but I found nothing. I considered what else I could buy, and something about this Jinx was really calling to me. The Smoochum was also giving me some vibes as well. But most of all, this Ladybug is awful. Looks like a bootleg Chinese Ladybug. When I was in America, this was the particular brand of Pokemon plushies I collected. At the time, I loved them, but now they kind of come off as too stiff. I actually didn't know they sold them at Pokemon Centers. They also featured this brand of plushies, which I've started to become more interested in. They have all of the starters, and most of them are well made. They had an abundance of Torchic, Pikachu, and Quaxly next to an announcement of the remodel. At the Pokemon store in Ehime, I picked up Totodile, and this time, I went with Cyndaquil. I went with Cyndaquil, I guess, this time around, because I already got Totodile. But why not Cyndaquil first and Totodile second? It's because this back looks weird. The back just looks kind of, I don't know, there's something weird about it. I guess it's hard to make fire look good, but you could have gone fireless, you know, just give us the little dots in the back. Every time I come to any Pokemon Center, I find this. And I don't know if it's a notebook or sketchbook. Either way, this looks so friggin' cool. I always think, I want this, and then put it back and never buy it. I shuffled through the crowd and to the coin machine, and I was doused with another wave of nostalgia. Before Quaxly, it was Grookey, and I had totally blacked this out. Once again, I started to feel sad at the idea of losing this machine, losing the last remnants of my monkey boy. And then, out of curiosity, I looked up the logos beforehand, and another wave of nostalgia washed over me. Before Grookey, it was Chespin, which I have vague memories of. I wish past me would have at least taken pictures, but I'm just so stubborn and hate taking pictures. I got my coin. In fact, I picked up 2 this time around. And I got in line to buy my Cyndaquil. I noticed there were a lot of random Unova Pokemon on the wall near the cashiers, and if you look up the old logos, one of them features Oshawott and Pansage. I imagine this is a remnant of that time. Kind of feels weird that they just kept it like this. I have a lot of mixed feelings about the Hakata Pokemon Center. Objectively, it is the worst center I've been to. It's small, crowded, and bland in comparison to every other center. Even the Pokemon store in Ehime had so many vibrant colors and decorations on the walls. Hakata only has some starter statues and easy to miss Unova decorations. But it's also a place I love, and every time I've come to Hakata Station for any reason, I visit the center as well. So I said goodbye to the 3 mascot statues, bye to the center where I made so many memories, and began my slow, sad escalator descent. My time at the Pokemon Center was over, but I still had something Pokemon related I wanted to look for. So after a little bit of day drinking, I went to a store called GU. If you don't know GU, I can't blame you. It's a store similar to Uniqlo, which is positively known for its affordable clothing, but is negatively known for its clothing being intentionally cheap. Every pair of shorts, pants, or underwear I buy from GU or Uniqlo wear out very quickly. But like I said, I'm stubborn, so I'll wear them out until I can fit a fist into these gooch holes. GU often strikes deals with Pokemon, and they sometimes get nice clothing made. They just recently released a cute retro selection. I wanted to see what I could find and pick up a few things. I specifically wanted some new underwear because they had 2 out of the 4 styles of underwear, and unfortunately, the 2 styles I wanted were sold out. They had the pairs of Pikachu and Evolution underwear, and of course, I still got them. I'll continue to look for the Gengar and Legendary Birds underwear and keep y'all underweared. I'll continue to look for the legendary birds in Gengar underwear and keep y'all updated. They also had this Ditto bag, which I was so tempted to get. I thought that maybe it could replace my current fanny pack, but I'm a bit worried about its size and GU quality. After a lot of thought, I didn't pick it up. They also had cute GBA looking socks of the Kanto starters. I didn't buy them this time around because I don't like ankle high socks. I like socks that go up my calves because I want to make sure my feet are properly hidden from you freaks. And the last thing they had were these shirts. In my experience, the shirts from GU last a lot longer than their lower half brothers. But none of these shirts blew me away when I looked at them. However, I really liked the front of this white shirt for its simplicity, so I picked it up. I also bought this for another reason though, and that's because I look terrible in white. My hope is that I can use this shirt as a motivator to lose some weight. I want to look good in this shirt, so I guess I gotta lay off all the day drinking. And that was my short day in Hakata. A couple months ago, myself and Mike, the Todd Snap of my adventures, were planning the trip to the remodeled Pokémon Center in Hiroshima. We talked about how bad Hakata's Pokémon Center is and that it needs to be remodeled and moved to a new location. I was planning to film this video and then beg the Pokémon company to remodel it. And quite literally a week later, it was announced that that was happening. I'm not saying that Mike and I are prophets, but I'm not saying that I'm not a prophet. Because I might be a prophet. I'll probably make a video discussing the new Pokémon Center when it opens, so look forward to that. For now, I have a few more projects I want to work on. I've been traveling a lot recently, so that's why it's been only travel vlogs, but my next video will be something a little bit different. Get excited, because things are about to get real good.